Greetings from Temecula, California. I am Ryder Bullock. This is the Ryder Report. We thank you for your patience. I know baseball ran a little late, but wasn't that a great game? Dodgers, Brewers. Full reactions later in the show, but I want to get to something that is kind of funny. You know how every holiday has people who go way too hard for it? Like you got the guy who puts up Halloween decorations in August, or the girl who turns Valentine's Day into a week-long Instagram series. Yeah, my thing's Columbus Day. I don't even know how it started, but every year without fail, I celebrate Columbus Day the exact same way. Hooters takeout, Big Daddy on the couch, and a sweet potato pie. That's it. That's my tradition. No parade, no politics, just me dipping chicken wings in ranch. Watching Adam Sandler raise a kid that isn't even his. It started totally by accident. One year I woke up, realized I had the day off, and Hooters was the only place open that didn't judge me for ordering 20 wings and a slice of pie before noon. Then Big Daddy came on TV, and I was like, yeah, this feels spiritual. Now it's a ritual. Like people light candles. I heat up Hooters leftovers and thank Columbus for discovering 2-day delivery. My friends ask Ryder, what does this have to do with Columbus? And I'm like, dude, he discovered America. I discovered that sweet potato pie and buffalo sauce go together. We're basically cousins. And it's weirdly wholesome. It's just me, my pie, and Sandler yelling, I wipe my own ass. That's how I know the holidays have begun. That's my national anthem. Sometimes I'll even stand up during that scene, hand over my heart like, this is for the explorers. My roommate one time walked in once and saw me on the couch, surrounded by Hooters, boxes, Big Daddy on the TV, pie crust all over my hoodie, and he's like, Ryder, what is this? And I said, Raymond, this is history. Folks, we got a jam-packed show today. NFL Week 6 in the books. And the cream is finally rising to the top. The new AP College Football Poll is out. Ohio State's king. But there's a shakeup coming. Over at Penn State, James Franklin's out. I'll tell you why I don't like it. Plus, NBA season tips off in 8 days. Can you believe that? We have our NBA season preview of the Lakers and the Bucks. Plus, the AP preseason college basketball poll. Loaded at the top. Wide open underneath. It's all straight ahead. Fast, fun, and fearless. This is the Ryder Report. I am Ryder Bullock. Let's get started. Week 6 in the NFL, we start in London, where the Broncos and Jets tangled at Tottenham Stadium. Bo Nix, smooth like a pint of Guinness, tosses for 174 and a score. And the Broncos hold on late 13-11. The Jets still searching for their first win and their passports for the end zone. Back home in Indy, it was a track meet. Cardinals and Colts. Jacoby Brissett lights it up for 320 yards, but Jonathan Taylor runs the show, 123 and a touchdown. Colts gallop past Arizona, 31-27. Down in Miami, the Dolphins put up a fight but couldn't keep their heads above water. Justin Herbert fires for 264 and 2 touchdowns, while Devon Achane blazes for 128 and 2 scores. But it's the Chargers who bolt away late, 29-27. New England heads to the Big Easy and makes life anything but. Drake May, cool as the other side of the pillow. 3 touchdown passes. Pats hand the Saints another loss, 25-19. Steel City, where A-Rod and the Steelers take care of business. Rodgers throws for 2, Metcalf grabs 1, and Pittsburgh rolls 23-9 over Cleveland. Browns still browning. Carolina, where the Panthers scratch out a wild one. Dak Prescott throws for 3, but it's Carolina's Rico Dowdle running wild for 183 yards. Panthers edge Dallas 30-27. Seattle flies cross country to Jacksonville and clips the Jags' claws. Sam Darnold with 295 and 2 scores. JSN catches 8 for 162. Seahawks take it 20-12. Baltimore, where Matthew Stafford, yes, still slinging it, leads the Rams past the Ravens 17-3. Lamar who? Stafford, and the Rams keep rolling. Vegas, baby. Titans and Raiders. AJ Gentry runs it strong. The silver and black cash it in at home, 20-10. At Lambeau Field, Jordan Love and the Packers turn up the heat. 2 touchdowns from Josh Jacobs, and Green Bay melts the Bengals 27-18. In Tampa, Baker's got company. Mac Jones throws for 347, but 2 costly picks, and the Bucks bake the Niners 30-19. And in Kansas City, where the Chiefs hosted the Lions at Arrowhead with Taylor Swift and Caitlin Clark watching on, the biggest crossover since 1989 meets Caitlin's clutch 3. Mahomes throws for 3 scores, Kelsey catches 1, and as Taylor would say, the Lions knew they were in trouble when he walked in. Chiefs cruise 30-17. And with that, we are pleased to welcome in our guy, our NFL enthusiast and host of The Wise Guys, which is now streaming on YouTube. It is Albert Lanier. And so glad to have you with us, Albert. Week 6 of the NFL. Can you believe that we're here?
Yeah, I can believe that we're here at week 6. It's not quite the halfway point, but we're already starting to see some teams pull away. You know, how far they'll pull away is hard to say. Some teams with some good records. Colts thus far, 5-1. I think Buccaneers are 5-1. So you've seen some consistent performances of both those teams. And also, Lions still a really good team, despite what happened. So we're beginning to see some separation with teams, and we're beginning to see what I call contenders for the playoffs. But I would advise anyone in the NFL, don't do a legal block to branch
right.
of the Lions, or you're going to get a uppercut to the face. I would also, from last week, I would also say, don't step on Trevor Lawrence's blue suede shoes or any color shoes unless you want a touchdown. And one more thing, to any NFL officials out there, past, present, or even former, well, that would be past. Could you define what illegal motion is? Because in that Lions-Chiefs game, I'm still trying to see what is deemed illegal in the motion. Is running illegal? Is catching as a quarterback illegal?
Right.
Is running it into the end zone illegal? Which of those motions is illegal? Inquiring minds want to know. Namely, this inquiring mind.
That's funny. Okay, let's get into my questions. You mentioned the Lions. That's where we'll start. The Lions' defense has been flashy, but it's their... the offense has been flashy. Their defense is but it's the defense that's becoming the story against the league's best, the Packers, the Ravens, and the Chiefs. They've given up nearly 30 points a game and forced just 1 turnover. So the question is, should the Lions be concerned that their defense simply can't stop top-tier offenses when it matters most?
Well, I think the Lions should be worried about their defense, period, because if you look at last year, when I did my podcast, Outside the NFL, which is still available in its old form on Spotify if you want to check it out. But when I was doing Outside the NFL, one of the things I spoke about was the fact that the Lions' defensive line was depleted. And I think that's why I stated that they wouldn't go to the Super Bowl. They need enough of a defense to get through the playoffs. So they need to be concerned. Aiden Hutchinson had a horrible injury last year. He's come back. So great for him getting back to the Lions. But he was on pace last year to possibly be Defensive Player of the Year. You look at the amount of sacks he was getting. It was astounding. It was pretty astounding. So they need a good defensive line at this point. They really do. They should be concerned about their defense. So far, they've had some good defensive contests. I mean, they did get about 7 sacks against Lamar Jackson when they played the Ravens. Very impressive. But, yeah, they should be concerned about injuries. They should be concerned about injuries. And I think what they should be concerned about right now with the Chiefs game is the offense, not so much the defense. That's a continual issue. They should care about that offense right now because it was slowed down by the Chiefs in that game, and you don't want to slow down. They also slowed down by the Packers in Week 1.
Right.
So they should be a little concerned about that.
Okay. I want to talk about the Seahawks for a minute. They were once one of the best home teams in the NFL. Now, though, it's a role reversal under Mike McDonald. 10-1 on the road, 4-8 at Lumen Field. What's behind it?
Well, I mean, I look at the Seahawks. They were a decent team last year. I think Geno Smith, was on the Seahawks last year. If I recall.
No, that sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah, and so the Seahawks are right now turning into one of the better teams in the NFC. Darnold has been a very nice contributor to that. He's come in and he's played as well. Right now, maybe not as well as he did with the Vikings, but he's playing pretty well right now with that team. And that defense seems to be pretty good with the Seahawks as well. I think the question
Okay, we're having some audio trouble. I'm so sorry, Albert. If you could repeat that, we're having some audio trouble.
Consistent.
There we go.
Do they have enough to be consistent? And how will they fare against some of these teams? I think this week they did a pretty good job with the Jaguars, but they had a really tough game last week with the Buccaneers. Teams meet up with teams like the Buccaneers and they have those rough contests, it may be tough for them. Again, to me, it's a matter of consistency. What I see thus far with the Seahawks is they're a tough out, which is kind of a weird way of putting it with the NFL, but they're a tough team to meet, especially at home. But even on the road now, they're winning. They're still winning games. So
yeah,
it may not be necessarily going into Seattle to meet the Seahawks. It may be meeting them in your own stadium.
Right. Let's talk about the Panthers. I can't believe that the Panthers are on my talking board. They are 500 for the first time since 2021 with Bryce Young settling in and running back Rico Dowdle rewriting the record books. Are the Panthers a legitimate contender in the NFC South?
I think they're only going to be a contender if they're consistent. Okay. The problem with the Panthers is they have flashes of brilliance, but it winds up being hot flashes because they're not consistent. That's the problem with the Panthers. I think I said this on this program or may have said it elsewhere. When you look at Young, when you look at the quarterback, when he's good, he's as good as nearly all the top performing quarterbacks in the NFL. But that's when he's putting it together, when he's having first down after first down, when he's hitting receivers effectively. It's weird with the Panthers. They've got talent. I saw this team. I kind of studied them a little last year. And I said, if they get the right people, the right mix, they got to put it together, though. They're inconsistent. And that's the problem. It's like, which Panthers team are you going to get? There was 1 week this season where they got blown out. And of course, they had a very close game against Dallas. They basically won because they were able to milk the ball, keep it, and score at the end. But again, the problem is which Panthers are you going to get? Are you going to get the inconsistent Panthers? Or are you going to get the ones that can make a comeback and either nearly win or win games?
Right.
So that's the problem. They have to be consistent.
Okay. It wouldn't be an NFL show if we didn't talk about the Cowboys. So in Dallas, the concern isn't Dak, it's the dirt. The Cowboys' rushing attack produced just 31 yards on 19 carries against the Jets. And without that 166-yard burst 2 weeks ago, the running game has been almost non-existent. With a defense that's suddenly vulnerable, can the Cowboys survive if their run game continues to disappear?
I don't think their run game is the issue because if you look at this game with Carolina, they were even. They kept scoring. Dallas doesn't have a problem scoring. They can score through the air. They can score passing. Dak's having a very good year. So the running isn't an issue unless, say, Dallas were somewhat successful. And then you look at the offense and you go, how could they enhance the offense? That isn't an issue for the offense. I mean, it's an issue when you think about the offense, but it isn't a problem yet because they're scoring. The problem for Dallas is their defense. It's what I call the vacant lot defense because nobody's around in the backfield. And the defense, here's the problem with Dallas, besides the defense. Dallas is an AFC team in the NFC. By that I mean a team with a great offense, but little to no defense. Now, that isn't true of all the AFC teams, but that happens with some of these teams where the offense dominates over the defense. The Dallas Cowboys are fundamentally an AFC team. They're offensively oriented and successful, and defensively unsuccessful. And that makes them unpredictable. The run would be an issue if they weren't able to score. Okay. They're able to score. Okay. So I don't think the run is an issue. It is the predominant issue. If they weren't able to get points on the board, then I might be able to say that. At some point, you can worry about the run when you actually got a defense that can allow you not to have to score a touchdown series after series.
Right. Okay. From the Cowboys to the Rams, wide receiver Puka Nacua has been unstoppable, and he leads the league in catches and yards, but a painful foot injury yesterday raises the questions, right? Where do the Rams go if he can't play at full strength, or worse, can't play at all?
Well, he is a major playmaker for the Rams, but it's interesting about the Rams. This is a team that had, to me, one of their best games last season when they played the 49ers. Puka Nacua was gone. I think Cooper Kupp, who was on the team at the time, was gone. They lost their major playmakers, and they managed to rally and win that game. And who still had some of their playmakers. Normally, they're injured. That was one of the best games I've seen the Rams play. It was a really great win. So I think they could play if Puka Nacua is out. I think they can do it. I think they're just going to have to do it. I mean, what you're seeing in the NFL are teams where playmakers out and winning. 49ers, a lot of their playmakers out. They generally won. Not this week, but they won. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, how many of their people, like Evans and Godwin, all those are out, and they're still winning games.
Right.
So if they're able to get people to come up and play, I think the Rams will be able to do it so long as Stafford is playing. I think he's the key. If he's able to throw, if he's not injured, they've got a chance to win.
Okay. Let's talk about the Jets. And it is heartbreak city for the Jets. Justin Fields was sacked 9 times, threw for just 45 yards, and the offense finished with minus 10 passing yards, the lowest mark in franchise history. So is it time for Aaron Glenn to consider a change at quarterback before this season spirals completely out of control?
I think maybe they should consider changing Aaron Glenn at this point.
Okay, that makes sense.
After the controversial call in the first half, where he allowed the time to expire after he had done the fake punt. I know there are people who are sensitive to coaches leaving, especially on the Jets. But, I would say right now, the Jets seem to be playing some good games. This was a close game.
It was. They have a lot of close games. They have a lot of close games.
And they were able to win. The Jets have played some good games this season. Right. I know nobody wants to hear that, but it's true.
They have. I agree with you.
The Steelers in week 1.
Yep.
They played a pretty good game against the Buccaneers. They might have won that game.
Right.
Had Baker Mayfield not managed to get down the field and finally get them in a scoring position to win. I have to say, I don't know. I mean, with the Jets, I said this on my show last year outside the NFL. It's a holistic aspect in the NFL. It's not simply what goes on the field. It's what's in the locker room. It's in the training facilities. It's in the practice field.
Yeah.
It's in the front office. It's holistic. The Jets are, to put it in polite terms, a garbage show.
Okay.
They're a dumpster fire of an organization. And they were a soap opera and a reality show last year. Now they're just a low-rated sitcom. And the difference is nobody's laughing.
Right.
Or, I mean, like you got people on shows, not like this,
right.
but bigger profile, obviously. Yeah. Furious by what they can't believe. Like, I think one of the
Mike Greenberg is a nutcase right now. Yeah.
I think it was the former Rams quarterback.
Maybe.
Kurt Warner.
Yeah.
He didn't understand it.
No.
He was like, what are you doing? So you're going to do a fake punt and you're going to execute that and then eventually let the clock wind down and not make a move, make a really far field goal attempt, throw or something? Really?
Yeah.
I don't. With the Jets, I don't know. All I can say is you got to wait till next year.
Okay,
it's nothing that makes sense. Can do now.
That makes sense.
Wait till next year.
Yeah.
That's all I can tell you.
Right. Let's final question. You mentioned the Buccaneers a minute ago. No Mike Evans, no Chris Goodwin Jr. Irving's out. Cansey's out. Both starting tackles. Baker Mayfield, meanwhile, is out there throwing touchdown passes to guys most fans couldn't pick in a lineup. So the question is this: if the Buccaneers ever get healthy, are they quite and probably the best team in the NFL at full strength?
They are probably. Steven Spielberg had a show called Amazing Stories back in the 80s. It was on NBC. I have a feeling that this would be an episode of Amazing Stories.
Okay.
Even though it's about football.
Yeah.
When you look at the Buccaneers, they're doing what teams usually can't do. They can't normally win without their playmakers. They're doing it without some of their major people. Granted, they have a major quarterback in Baker Mayfield, and he's getting them down the field. He's making runs. He's doing it. But they're losing members of their offense. And nobody is that deep in regards to an offense that you could just put people in and they're automatically going to produce.
Yeah.
I mean, people can talk about the next man up philosophy of the NFL, but if your next guy up is somebody who just comes off the practice squad, you never know. The Buccaneers are a team I said a couple of weeks ago to look out for to people online. I said this, I think on X, maybe not Facebook, Blue Sky, I think.
Okay.
I said, you got to look out for these. You got to look out for the Buccaneers. Mayfield is getting this team victory. And I don't know what this team is going to be like with its playmakers.
Right.
That's the scary.
Yeah.
They're getting by with these victories. What are they going to be like when they have it? They're winning the games right now. I think they need as much cushion as they can. If they're able to perform and do this, even with their playmakers back, you got to look at this team seriously in the NFC. Right now, I think they're a contender for the playoffs. When I say contender, I mean someone likely to possibly make it to the playoffs, contending for the playoffs. You got to look at the Buccaneers and they're contending. Right now, I mean, you look at that Seahawks game, that's one of the best games of the season. Yeah. And if they can beat the Seahawks, which is one of the better teams, they lost to the Eagles. They played them close. So you got to look out for the Buccaneers. You got to look out for this team. They're, like I said, amazing stories. And there was another show called about Ripley's. In their case,
believe it or not.
You have to look out.
Yeah. Final question. Where can we listen to Wise Guys at?
Yeah, the Wise Guys show can be found at my YouTube channel, which is Ryder Albert Lanier 3434. That's the official like I think the at Ryder Albert Lanier 3434. My YouTube channel, Ryder Albert Lanier. You can check out I guess it's five. I think the sixth episode is coming out. But 5 episodes of the Wise Guy Show, short form sports, football oriented. So I deal with the NFL. Okay. So the Wise Guy game, the Wise Guy Show, I should say, Wise Guy Show. I'm not a wise guy, but for all intents and purposes, I play one on YouTube.
Very well, very well. He is Albert Lanier. Excuse me. I will get it right eventually. And we thank you for your time. Thank you for all that you do. We'll be tuning in on YouTube to watch that. And again, always a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you.
We continue with the NFL and some developing stories out of Tennessee. Brian Callahan is fired by the Tennessee Titans just 6 games into the year. And you look at the numbers, 4-10 overall, 1-5 this year with Cam Ward. And, this kid, Cam Ward, he was the first overall pick, and this is starting to become a pattern that's almost laughable. 6 of the last 8 quarterbacks taken number 1 have watched their coach get fired during their rookie season. You can't make that up. And now Callahan's, not blameless. He was part of the problem more so than he was the solution, and he's been an absolute disaster this season. No question about it. 83 points in 6 games. That's not just bad. That's prehistoric. It's the fewest through 6 games for that franchise since 1985. The Oilers were still in Houston back then. You can't sell that to your fan base. But here's what I don't get. How many times are these teams going to draft a kid at number 1, tell the fan base we're building something, and then light the whole thing on fire before the season's halfway done? You drafted Cam Ward for the future, not for week 6. You don't throw him out there behind a patchwork line, no weapons, no system continuity, and then act shocked when it doesn't work. And let's be honest, the organization's a mess. Mike Vrabel gets fired, a guy who won 2 division titles for you, and now he's back this Sunday coaching the Patriots, 4-2, while you're sitting there 1-5, firing the guy you hired to replace him. You can't script this stuff. Fans in Nashville saw it coming. Week 3, Colts blowout. Chance of fire Callahan raining down at Nissan Stadium. That was the beginning of the end. And then after that embarrassment against Houston, 26-0, no red zone trips, your rookie quarterback goes to the podium and says, if we keep it a buck right now, we're ass. That's not exactly the quote you want going viral on Monday morning. And you know what? He wasn't wrong. Look, Callahan's a good football mind, comes from a respected coaching tree, smart guy, but sometimes you just know when a situation's over. The body language was bad, the confidence was shot, the locker room was gone, and when you've only won 4 games in almost 2 seasons, that's not a whole lot of defense left to make. Now, Mike McCoy takes over as interim. Guy's been around, steady hand, made the playoffs with the Chargers once upon a time, but let's be honest, this is all about trying to stop the bleeding. Here's the bigger picture. The Titans used to be a tough, physical, well-coached team under Vrabel. Now, they're one of the softest teams in football. No identity, no direction. You can't keep cycling through coaches every 18 months and expect to build anything sustainable. And I'll tell you what, Mike Vrabel coming back to town this weekend with New England. If the Pats win, and they probably will, that stadium's going to explode. Fans will be chanting for the guy you just fired 2 coaches ago. Tennessee better hope Cam Ward's got a short memory, because right now that whole franchise looks lost. 4 coaches fired before midseason, 6 top picks with no stability. The NFL's got a problem, folks. You can't build quarterbacks in quicksand. You cannot. You cannot. That was an NFL firing. We're going to switch to college football. We'll get to Monday night scores in a moment. But there was a college football firing this weekend, and I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. I don't even like that we're covering this story, but it's my job. It's my obligation. And so I'm just going to tell you, James Franklin has been fired at Penn State after 12 years. 12 years. A guy who took that program from the ashes of one of the darkest chapters in college football history. A scandal that rocked that community, rocked that sport. And he brought him back to relevance. Now, was he perfect? No. You want to tell me he struggled in big games? Sure. The record against top 10 opponents it's ugly. 4-21, 1-18 in Big Ten play. That's brutal. You can't hide from that. But let's have some perspective here. This guy didn't inherit Ohio State. He didn't walk into Alabama. He walked into Penn State in ruins. Okay? The NCAA was throwing sanctions, scholarships were stripped, and people were running from that place. Franklin stabilized it. He made them nationally relevant again. He won double-digit games 6 times. He got them back in the playoff picture. And now you start 0-3 in Big Ten play. Yeah, it's bad. Bad losses, really bad, especially that UCLA one. No excuses for that. And suddenly the school's acting like he's the problem. Come on. Pat Kraft comes out and says, I'm here to win a national championship. Yeah? Well, join the club. So is every athletic director in the country. But not every AD has $49 million laying around to send a guy packing who built the foundation for the very program you're bragging about. By the way, $49 million is the second biggest buyout in the history of the sport behind Jimbo Fisher. That's not bold, that's reckless. And let's not forget, Penn State already got one thing catastrophically wrong when they pushed out Joe Paterno before the full truth even had a chance to breathe. They panicked, they killed a legacy, and frankly, the man himself. And now you fire the guy who cleaned up the mess. I'm sorry, but that's a bad look. And I get it, it's business. You lose to Northwestern at home, people get restless. You lose as a 20-point favorite twice, people get angry. But you don't throw away a decade of progress and leadership because the fan base got spoiled. Franklin deserves better. And I'll tell you this, the next guy who walks into this job, he's not walking into a rebuild. He's walking into a pressure cooker. The same fans who are clapping for this move now are going to turn on him the second he loses to Michigan or Ohio State or whoever it is. Penn State's chasing ghosts again. And it feels like they still haven't learned the lesson from the last time they made a decision out of panic instead of principle. You fire a guy who restored your name. You better be damn sure the next one can live up to it, because right now Penn State just feels lost again. And that was the news after what was a really good week in college football. AP Poll is out, and I've been watching this sport for a while, been covering the sport for a little bit now, and I grew up in Indiana my whole life, and if you would have told me that they would be ranked 3 in the country, number 3 in the country, the Hoosiers, number 3. That's not a typo. It's not basketball season. We're talking football. Indiana went on the road, beat Oregon. beat them. A team that was ranked third in the nation, and for the first time ever, the Hoosiers have cracked the top 3. They even got 3 first-place votes. That's not a fluke. That's respect. Kurt Signetti. What a guy. I mean, this guy has done unbelievable things in Bloomington. In year 2, he's got them 6-0. You could have told me that a few years ago, and I would have said you need your head checked. Indiana hasn't been a top 5 team on the road ever, or beaten a top 5 team on the road ever. 0-46 before Saturday. That's history right there. Now let's run down the numbers. Ohio State's still number 1, 51st place votes. Miami at 2. They're idle, but solid. They're hanging right there. And then Indiana leapfrogging 4 spots up to number 3. You've got A&M at 4, Ole Miss at 5, and how about this? Texas Tech at 7, undefeated. We're in the twilight zone here. And look at the carnage from this weekend. 8 ranked teams lost. 3 of them undefeated. Oklahoma falls flat on its face against Texas, 23-6, and drops 8 spots. Texas, preseason number 1, back in the poll at 21. LSU, Georgia, Bama, all sitting right in that second tier. It's chaos, absolute chaos. But back to Indiana. This isn't smoke and mirrors. They play tough, disciplined football. They don't beat themselves. They went into one of the hardest places to play in America, Autzone Stadium, and they didn't flinch. That tells me something. That tells me this team believes. Now, let's be real. They've still got to face the big boys down the stretch. You've got Michigan State. You've got Ohio State still ahead. And we'll see what happens when the lights get the brightest. But right now, Indiana's not some cute underdog story. They are a legitimate playoff contender through 6 weeks. When I think about the history, last time they had this kind of buzz was 1945. That's before the AP even started ranking half of these schools. So today, on October 13th, I'm not saying IU's going to win a national championship, but if you're not happy for Indiana fans right now, you don't love college football. Indiana at number 3, you could have given me 1,000 ballots, and I still wouldn't have penciled that in my ballot back in August. But hey, that's why we play football. So from an AP football poll to an AP basketball poll, and you have Indiana at 3 in football. And how about Purdue? The Purdue Boilermakers will open the season ranked number 1 in the nation. Matt Painter's crew brings back Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer, and Trey Kaufman-Wren. That's experience shooting and power up front, plus a new addition down low in Oscar Clough, who averaged nearly 18 a game at South Dakota State. Their road to redemption after last year's Sweet 16 exit starts November 4th versus Evansville and circled December 20th. The Indy Classic matchup with Auburn could be a Final Four preview in their own backyard. Down the line we go. Number 2 is Houston. The runner-ups, Kelvin Simpson's squad, came so close to a national title last April, falling to Florida in the championship game. They reload with top 10 freshman Chris Sinek Jr. and ESPN top 15 guard Isaiah Harwell. The culture is the same: defense, toughness, and rebounding. Number 3, the defending champs, the Florida Gators. Todd Golden has rebuilt Gainesville into a juggernaut. They open in Vegas against Arizona on TNT, and their December 2nd clash at Duke will test whether Boogie Flan and Xavion Lee can keep the Gators' tempo humming. Number 4 and 5, UConn and St. John's. The Huskies remain steady under Dan Hurley, while Rick Pitino's Red Storm are loaded again. Bryce Hopkins, Ian Jackson, and Josan Senin had a St. John's lineup that might be the deepest in America. Their December 20th matchup against Kentucky in Atlanta old school blue blood basketball, modern transfer portal energy. Mark that date, December 20th, on your calendar. Rounding out the top 10, Duke sits at number 6, led by Cameron Boozer. Yes, that Boozer, one of the most hyped freshmen since Zion. Michigan at 7, BYU checks in at 8 behind number 1 overall recruit AJ Dybinasta, the most electrifying freshman since Anthony Edwards. Kentucky's 9, and Texas Tech slides in at 10 after an elite run. A few more storylines for the true hoops heads. Louisville at number 11 is back on the national map with Mike Brown Jr. UCLA reloaded behind Donovan Dent, while Arizona number 13 brings in Koa Pete and Braden Breweries, both 5 stars, both ready now. Alabama's 15th and Tennessee is 18th. They remain the SEC's heavy hitters. Kansas is 19, welcomes Darren Pedersen, the number 2 recruit in the country, to Lawrence. And then the mid-majors with muscle watch list. Look out for Creighton at number 23. Could surprise again with Owen Freeman anchoring the paint. Wisconsin is 24. Always tough. And then number 8, BYU. Not exactly a mid-major anymore, but the intrigue around AJ Dybinasta's one-year stop in Provo will be must-see television. Mark your calendar. The season tips November 3rd, and early season tournaments like the Players Air Festival in Las Vegas, the Hall of Fame Series in New York, Boston, and LA are shaping up like miniature March Madness events before Christmas. And how about this? 62 coaching changes this offseason, NIL fuel transfers, and the dawn of revenue sharing. This isn't just a new season, it's a new era of college basketball. Purdue on top, Houston hunting redemption, and Florida out to prove last year was just the start. Blue Bloods are reloading, newcomers rising, and one question looms over them all. Who's cutting down the nets in Indianapolis on April the 6th? From West Lafayette to Chapel Hill, the road to Indy starts now. From the NCAA to the NBA, and we are just 8 days away. Can you believe that? A week from tomorrow, the 2025-2026 NBA schedule starts. And one team that will be looking to win a championship are the Los Angeles Lakers. The bright lights of Hollywood just got a little brighter and maybe a little blur as Luka Doncic and LeBron James prepare to share the stage for their first full season together. What began as a blockbuster February trade has turned into a franchise reset for the Lakers, who now enter the 25-26 season with a rare blend of experience, creativity, and star power that could redefine their championship window. For the first time since the Kobe Paul era, Los Angeles has 2 basketball servants capable of controlling the game on their own. The question is, can they do it together? Quick season recap. They re-signed Luka Doncic to an extension. LeBron James cashed in on his player option. Jackson Hayes is also re-signed. They added DeAndre Ayton, Marcus Smart, and Jake Lavaria. They drafted Adu Thero 36 via the trade. And Dorian Finney-Smith is gone. Jordan Goodwin is gone. Trey Jemison III, Alex Lynn, Shake Milton, all gone. Unsigned free agents, Markef Morris. So the Doncic for Anthony Davis trade flipped the franchise identity overnight. With Davis and his rim protection gone, the Lakers doubled down on spacing, versatility, and playmaking, signing Ayton to anchor the paint, Smart to restore defense, toughness, and Lavaria to add shooting depth. General Manager Rob Pelinka called it the perfect storm of talent and leadership. Whether that storm hits calm seas or Category 5 turbulence will depend on how quickly chemistry forms. My X factor for the Lakers is LeBron James. At 40 years old, LeBron James continues to do unthinkable things. Last season, 24.4 points, 7.8 rebounds, 8.2 assists. He played in 70 games. That's not just longevity, that's defiance. James will become the first player in NBA history to play a 23rd season, and he's still rewriting the record books in real time. His ability to adapt next to Doncic, ceding control of the ball while maintaining his scoring punch, could dictate whether this team flirts with a title or fights for a play-in spot. Now, LeBron James will miss the first few weeks of the season with a hip injury. We don't know when he will return. We haven't given an exact date, but we do know he's not playing on opening night against the Warriors. And I've been told it's about a 3 to 4 week injury. So what does year 2 of the Doncic James era look like under J.J. Redick? Their late season sample showed flashes of brilliance, 59 assist connections between them, but chemistry built on the fly isn't the same as chemistry built over camp. With a full offseason to scheme, Redick has had time to design an offense that lets both stars coexist fluidly. Expect a heavy dose of inverted pick and rolls, LeBron screening for Luka, Atkins rim runs opening the floor, and Smart anchoring the defense with his trademark intensity. The coaching challenge: find balance between Luka's tempo and LeBron's pacing. Two maestros playing the same symphony in different keys. But the Lakers right now are going to have to depend on the supporting cast. Austin Reeves enters year 5, poised for another leap. He's no longer a novelty. He's a proven secondary playmaker who could average 18 points a game in this system. DeAndre Ayton provides the rim presence in LA lacked, and his chemistry and pick and rolls with Luka could define the offense. And how about Marcus Smart? You know, he gives this Lakers team something they sorely missed: defense accountability and championship experience. Key dates: regular season opener, October 21st, opening night against the Warriors, and then the Emeritus NBA Cup West Group B, October 31st at the Grizzlies, November 14th at the Pelicans, November 25th against the Clippers, November 28th against the Mavericks, Christmas Day against the Rockets, and then Rivals Week, January 20th at the Nuggets, January 22nd at the Clippers, January 24th at the Mavericks. The Lakers have traded defense for dynastism. I know that's not a word, but dynastyism. And size for skill and predictability for potential. The Doncic James experiment isn't about if it'll work. It's about how fast it can work. If Redick's system clicks, Los Angeles could find itself right back in the championship conversation. But if egos or injuries interfere, Hollywood's latest epic could fade to black before the final act. From out west to the east, and we look at Milwaukee, who after a championship in 2021, the Milwaukee Bucks have spent the last 4 seasons searching for the formula to return to the summit. The 24-25 season brought some silver linings, an Emeritus NBA Cup title, and a 5th seed playoff berth, but the story ended all too familiar: a first-round exit for the 3rd consecutive year. With Giannis Antetokounmpo entering his 13th season, Milwaukee is doubling down on retooling around their superstar, hoping to reclaim dominance in the Eastern Conference, and chaos in the East could bring a chase to an NBA title. Off-season overhaul: they re-signed Chris Livingston, Kevin Porter Jr., Bobby Portis, Price is back, Ryan Rollins, Jericho Sims, and Gary Trent Jr. They added Thanius Antetokounmpo, Cole Anthony, Gary Harris, Miles Turner. They drafted Markovic, 47th, and a lot of people have left, right? Cottenhahn, Lillard, Lopez, Meek, all of them. So the Bucks roster pivoted, right, aggressively this summer. Damian Lillard, sidelined by a torn Achilles, was waived to free cap space for Miles Turner, a longtime Pacers center known for his rim protection and floor space. Gone too are veterans Pat Cunningham and Brooke Lopez, who helped deliver the 2021 title, but no longer fit the Bucks' long-term plans. Key veterans like Bobby Portis and Prince and Gary Trent Jr. were retained, while additions like Cole Anthony and Gary Harris give Milwaukee depth and versatility. The mix is a blend of youth experience and floor spacing talent, all designed to maximize Giannis's MVP caliber skill set. My X factor for this team is Miles Turner, because he brings a two-pronged impact. Elite rim protection, two blocks a game in the 24-25 season. That was third in the league. And a newfound three-point shot, career best at 39.6% on 2 attempts per game. Replacing Lopez's role, Turner can protect the paint and open lanes for Giannis if he is slashing teammates. If Turner thrives alongside Giannis, the Bucks' defense and spacing could vault them back into title contention. A relatively wide-open Eastern Conference should be afraid of this Bucks team. My one big question is this the right mix to get Milwaukee back into the championship conversation? The Bucks have been proactive in chasing a roster built around Giannis after the 2 early post-title playoff exits. Milwaukee swung for the fences with Lillard, a move now sidelined by injury. With the new additions, Milwaukee hopes its irritation can avoid the first-round heartbreaks that have plagued recent seasons. Injuries will still be a concern, depth will be tested, and chemistry must be built quickly. But the window is open, and Giannis's prime isn't over. The question: can this blend of veteran leadership and young talent finally deliver Milwaukee back to the Eastern throne? We shall see. Regular season opener, October 22nd against the Wizards. They are in the Emeritus NBA Cup East Group C. So they'll play November 7th, the Bulls. November 14th, the Hornets. November 26th, at the Heat. November 28th, at the Knicks. MLK Day, they'll play January 19th at the Hawks. And Rivals Week, January 21st, against the Thunder. So Giannis remains the engine of the Bucks, but success hinges on how quickly Turner, Cole Anthony, and the supporting cast integrate. Milwaukee may not be as flashy as the East's younger squad, but this team combines spacing, defense, and playoff-tested veterans. If Giannis stays healthy and Turner delivers as advertised, the Bucks aren't just contenders, they could be the team to beat in the Eastern Conference. That is the NBA. Let's go to what is trending in sports, and there is a lot right now. We'll start in the NFL. It was a doubleheader Monday night. Bears defeated the Commanders 25-24. The Falcons defeated the Bills 24-14. In baseball, championship series is going on. We'll start with the Dodgers, who defeated the Brewers 2-1. The Mariners defeated the Blue Jays 10-3. Seattle leads the series 2-0. Dodgers lead the series 1-0. Tomorrow night, Dodgers take on the Brewers in Milwaukee. First pitch scheduled for 8:08 Eastern Time. Wednesday, Blue Jays Mariners Game 3 in Seattle. First pitch scheduled for 8:08 p.m. Eastern Time. The NFL has suspended Detroit Lions safety Brian Branch for 1 game without pay following unsportsmanlike conduct during Sunday night's game against the Kansas City Chiefs. Branch struck Chiefs wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster, sparking a brief fight. NFL Vice President John Runyon condemned the action, calling it entirely unwanted and a violation of league standards. Branch plans to appeal the suspension, which would be reviewed by a hearing officer jointly appointed by the NFL and the NFL Players Association. He will miss the Lions' next game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but can return the following day. The incident occurred right after the game when Branch ignored a high five from Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes, leading to a confrontation with Smith-Schuster. Branch punched Smith-Schuster in the face mask and pulled off his helmet, prompting intervention from teammates and coaches. Branch acknowledged his behavior was childish, but cited frustration with in-game provocations. He was previously fined $23,186 for face mask and unsportsmanlike conduct penalties in a game against the Packers. The NBA approved a $300 million 23-year sponsorship deal between the LA Clippers and Aspiration in 2021, which included a jersey patch and arena signage, following league rules requiring review of such agreements. This deal predates a separate $28 million endorsement contract Aspiration signed with Kawhi Leonard in 2022, which is now under investigation for potential salary cap circumvention. Clippers owner Steve Ballmer invested $50 million in Aspiration around the same time as the team deal, but he denied involvement in or knowledge of the Leonard endorsement. NBA rules allow teams to introduce sponsors to players, but prohibit involvement in player-specific deals, which are not subject to league review. Aspiration never appeared on any Clippers jerseys, and the company later faced DOJ and CFTC investigations for misleading customers, eventually filing for $170 million in bankruptcy in March of 2025. Co-founder Joe Sandberg pleaded guilty to wire fraud, admitting to defrauding investors and lenders of $248 million. The NBA has hired Watchwell, Lipton, Rosen, and Katz to investigate whether the Clippers violated salary cap rules. The investigation could take months and may extend past the 2026 playoffs. Any disciplinary action would involve NBA Commissioner Adam Silver presenting findings to a neutral arbitrator, who would determine if penalties are warranted. Silver emphasized that the burden of proof rests on the league to show any wrongdoing before punishing a team, owner, or player. The Milwaukee Bucks are signing Alex Antetokounmpo to a two-way contract, joining his older brothers Giannis and Thanasis, making history as the first NBA team with three brothers on an active roster. Alex, the youngest Antetokounmpo, has played in Europe since 2024 after stints in the G League with the Raptors 905 and Milwaukee's affiliate. To make room, the Bucks are waiving guard Jamari Bouya for a two-way deal. Giannis recently led the Greek national team to a bronze medal at Euro Basketball 2025, a squad that also included brothers Thanasis and Kostas, an achievement Giannis calls his greatest achievement as an athlete. Get set for basketball season. The Hardwood Report kicks things off before tip-off, breaking down everything you need to know ahead of the Thunder versus Bucks preseason matchup tomorrow at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. Then stick around for the Ryder Report right after the game with highlights, hot takes, and all the action you won't see anywhere else. That's what's trending in sports. Here is tonight's final thought. Today is Columbus Day, a holiday that in recent years has come to mean very different things to different people. For some, it's a day to honor a man they see as the original American hero, a daring explorer, a man of faith and courage who crossed an ocean when the rest of the world said it couldn't be done. For others, it's a time to reckon with the legacy that followed, a story of conquest, colonization, and human cost that's far less romantic than the schoolbook version many of us grew up hearing. But whatever your view, one thing's certain: Christopher Columbus changed the course of history. He charted a path into the unknown, one that would connect and forever complicate two worlds. Born in Genoa in 1451, Columbus convinced Spain's monarchs to take a gamble on a dream. 3 ships, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, set sail in 1492. And when land appeared in the distance that October morning, the world was never the same again. More than 5 centuries later, his story remains one of discovery and debate, both a celebration of vision and a reminder of the need for truth, because real courage, as Columbus might tell us, isn't just about crossing oceans. It's about facing the full story once you reach the other side. This day also marks another milestone, the 250th birthday of the United States Navy. From the first ships of the Continental Congress in 1775 to the world's most formidable fleet today, the Navy's been the shield and sinew of America's freedom. Their motto, not for self, but for country, still defines every sailor who has ever answered the call. And as we remember the Navy's 250 years of service, we also remember a darker day in its modern history. Yesterday marked 25 years since the bombing of the USS Cole in Yemen. 17 American sailors lost their lives that morning. Their sacrifice, like so many before and since, a sobering reminder that freedom at sea is never free. So on this Columbus Day, as we honor explorers who dared to dream and sailors who dared to serve, maybe it's worth remembering one more thing. The measure of a nation isn't just found in its heroes or its history, but in how honestly it tells their stories. That'll do it for me on this Monday night. Till next time, Ryder Bullock reporting. Thank you for your time, and thank you for letting me share mine.